Welcome to Mr. UFC Vegas Fight Club TV. I am Kyle, your host. Welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the prediction show for UFC 228, Woodley vs. Till. We're going to get into the two plays that we have. Of course, one of them is a best bet play. We're going to really go over the general feeling of this card and as well as quickly go over our last play that we had at Fight Night, Gaethje vs. Vick. So we'll discuss all of that on the show today, but before we do not forget to subscribe, like, kick the bell icon, get involved with Fight Club TV. It's a growing UFC community. I actually comment basically on every comment down below, so get involved. We are always active here in the channel, so once this video is done, I will continue the conversation down below. So also, as well as I finally, with so many of you guys asking me to start a Twitter account and just have more conversation on there, as well as just another outlet for the channel. So you can follow me on @Mr. UFC Vegas. Go over there, check it out, and at least follow me there. But as always, we are very active here on YouTube, so always comment here as well. So there you have it, guys, for that. Now we will get into what we did at Fight Night, Gaethje vs. Vick. We had two plays there. We had Courtney Casey. She was plus 110. We had a half unit on her. Got that victory, as well as we had our best bet play, which was on Michael Johnson to defeat Andre Fili. Very close fight there. We were able to get the 2 units on Michael Johnson at great, terrific odds on him, and ended up getting us the victory. So at this point for the year, on our best bet play, we are 22-10. Plus 18.78 units for the year, so we are really doing well here. Gotta keep pushing forward on it. We are only as good as our last play, so we want to continue to help you guys out, make you guys some money, and as well as I always say, it's always great to have great conversations with everybody down below. So again, you see something that I don't see, I want to hear it, I want to talk about it, as well as, vice versa. So I want to keep those lines of communication open between us, because that is how we grow this channel and continually have great, knowledgeable people that are into Fight Club TV. So we will first just take a look at this card. To me, it's a difficult one to find a couple plays, and you've got such wide range of odds here. Hard to find some value. Zabit versus Davis. That's what I mean. That's just enormous line. You've got Shevchenko. That's another enormous line. There's even Andrade versus Carolina. I really like Andrade there. I think she's going to get it. I'm more favoring a lot of these heavy favorites, and I know a lot of other YouTubers, they love to dive into some of these that, really are going to be absolutely one-sided affairs. We don't do that here. We look for value plays that are going to be very tough calls to make, and we put ourselves out there and we try to get these victories. That is what we are about on this channel. It's not about, hey, I was 10-4 on the last card, but 9 of those were heavy favorites. That's not really handicapping. That's just going with favorites and not really doing too much, at least in my opinion. So you guys let me know what you think. So for me here, we're looking at guys that are going to be very close and terrific odds for you to lay some money and not to lay so much, and you're going to find opportunities to make money. So we are going to look at the first one that just quickly, I'm not going to be, like I said, diving into these. I mean, of course, I believe Shevchenko is going to win. Zabit, I think he's just such a terrific talent. Davis coming in on short notice. This could be, really another place where Zabit is going to just really showcase his skills. So that's that. I like Andrade there as well. The one that I'm going to just do a half a unit on is between John Dodson and Jimmy Rivera. I really like Jimmy Rivera. I know he did not do well in his last fight against Marlon Moraes, but I still think he's a terrific talent. Dodson is very fast. He's got those quick hands. He's able to do a lot of damage with those hands and his movement. Terrific movement for him. I think that Jimmy Rivera can get this victory. We're only going to go half a unit on him as one of my side plays. I just don't really think that Dodson is going to be able to handle the pressure, and as well as if he tries to take it to the ground. Didn't really showcase much of Jimmy Rivera in the last fight, so here we will put a half unit on Jimmy Rivera at -145. So moving right along to the best bet play. Again, our best bet play is 22 wins, 10 losses, plus 18.78 units for the year, so right at that 70% winning percentage on our best bet play. So let's take a look at the main event of the evening. That will be the best bet play between Darren Till and Tyron Woodley. This fight here, you know, it's a lot. I mean, again, I'm seeing a lot of people all over the place on this. Some people all about Woodley, some people all about Till. And these are the fights that we want to take a look at, dive into, take a look at the odds, and see where we can place our money and see where there's going to be value. So currently you've got Darren Till is the favorite at minus 137. It had been basically a pick'em up until this point. There was really, I would say pretty much it was, you know, a lot of the books I was taking a look at, very close, minus 110, minus 115, very close, very close. Up until today, I saw the odds really changed. I actually saw him at one point and it actually slipped back down. He was a minus 142 for a little bit. So even though minus 140s, huge movement there towards Till. Till is 17-0-1. He's 6 foot, and he actually oddly has the same reach as Tyron Woodley. Woodley right now is a plus 117. He's 18-3-1. He's 5'9", and again, they said they have the same reach basically as well. So in this, basically, I'm not going to, you know, most of the time when we do these videos, I really dive into, you know, the footage. And I did look at the footage, but to me here, there was not as much to take a look at. When you take a look at the last few fights of Woodley, you take a look at the last few fights of Till, we're going to quickly go over some of them. But I really want to go over just overall what we see with these guys, because there's a lot to really take away and a lot of perception and where possibly the opponent can take advantage of his opponent. So there's a lot of movement here that is going to really create some terrific stylistic matchups on Saturday night in the main event. So the first thing when you take a look at Till, you've got his great range. You've got his great elbows. I mean, that's something that everyone can see. He is very physical. He can move forward. He's got a terrific left hand, and he's got a very awkward style. And a lot of people are finding that it's very difficult to really stylistically work up against that. The way he moves, he kind of has, and I forget what, maybe it was Sonnen that had said this, that he's got a mix of basically like a Conor McGregor, Thompson kind of, you know, Lyoto Machida kind of mix, where it's just the way he moves is very tough for somebody to really engage comfortably. And of course, how big he is. It's very, very difficult for a guy not only to be moving like that, but how big and strong that Till is. Now, in his last 2 fights, of course, 2 fights ago, he just destroyed Darren Cerrone. I mean, Donald Cerrone. That was, you know, a complete one-sided victory for him. Cerrone looked terrible, and even to this point now, I'm not very big on Cerrone, where he is in his career, you know, and how he trains. That's a whole nother story to it. But he went out there and Till did enormous damage and put him away early. The last fight that he had was against Thompson, which was one of our best bet plays. We had Thompson at plus odds, and he was our best bet play at 2 units. That was one of our wins that we had this year, and that was a close fight. I mean, there was definitely no doubt there was a close fight, and it's that fight, and the reason why I'm kind of brushing over these 2 fights is because there wasn't that much to really break down. I mean, you take a look at Cerrone, he went out there, and he just put him away. And I think it was, you know, Cerrone was completely overwhelmed. He was not prepared. He was kind of downgrading who Till was. He basically was saying, you know, I didn't look at footage. I didn't look at anything. You know, he didn't really give him much of, I guess that really much time to really take a look at what he does. So I thought that was a little weird on Cerrone's side for a guy that's an up-and-comer and all this other things, but very weird. But there's not much to really break down. And even the Thompson fight, I didn't really think there was much to break down. You take a look at it, pretty much a boring fight. You know, Till did enough, in my opinion. I know a lot of people, again, are back and forth. Did Thompson win? I think that Thompson, you know, was, you know, trying to do as much as he could, but he's just so gun-shy over his last, 3 fights, including some of the Woodley fights. So it was a very weird fight. I think Till did enough to get that victory, but there was just not enough really for me to break down to really say, hey, this is something that he can take and use into the fight against Woodley. So now you've got the other parts of this fight are the age. I mean, there's no doubt about it. You've got a guy who's 25 in Till. You got a guy who's 36 in Woodley. You know, and that's a big question. Where is Woodley in his career? They're talking about, you know, is he going a little Hollywood now? Is he not really focused as much on MMA as a whole? And you got a guy like Till who is just really, really an animal looking to just move forward. He's a raw talent, and there's a lot that he can do in this division at such a young age, or if he's going to be moving up. A lot of that, we'll discuss that a little bit later as well. Maybe we'll talk about that right now. And that's a downside of it. Now he's 25, but this situation with the weight cut, it's been such a, maybe it's over-talked. There was 2 times where he's missed weight so far, and obviously with the Thompson fight, he wasn't even close when he came back to the scale. He had gained weight. So this is a spot here where you got to take a look and you got to say, is this an issue? Is this an issue? Can he consistently hit this weight? And can he hit this weight in a championship bout with the pressure that he needs to be at 170? And, you take a look back at some of the clips that I had, I'm always doing my research up until these fights. And about 2 weeks ago, they had an interview with Till, and Till looked miserable. Now, I don't know if any of you guys had saw that. I think it was on MMA Junkie. He just seemed miserable. He talked about the weight cut was going terrible. He talked about that he was starving. He talked about that he was, where he was mentally. He just didn't. He actually even said he didn't even feel like training anymore. That was another part. He said, I almost don't feel like training anymore. And again, when I watched Sonnen talk about that interview, he basically had said kind of the same. He said that's not a good thing. That's definitely not a good thing. Obviously when you're 36 hours out, guys are pressing, guys are squeezing down into their weights. They're really depleting all the water that's in their body. And yes, I'm sure that's going to happen. That kind of mentality is going to happen. But when you're 2 weeks out, it's not a good sign that you're already at that point. You should be so focused, so hungry, as in not hungry to eat, but hungry for this fight. And he almost seemed that he was mentally not ready, which to me was a little bit of a red flag for me when I was watching this. I just said, wow, that, for a guy that is very focused, very mentally strong, didn't seem like he was that strong in that interview. And another big part was what happened after the Thompson fight. Now, with Thompson, he went out there. It was, they kind of played, a cat and mouse game and kind of, tit for tat kind of thing throughout that fight. Besides for the end when Till dropped him, which was a terrific shot, almost ended the fight there anyway. But at the end of that fight, for a guy that, again, a lot of self-belief, huge will, after the fight, he was interviewed and they said, what's next? And he's, yelling and screaming. He wants, although I was excited too, again, because I got the victory there. But he was yelling and screaming and basically saying, I'll take anybody, I'll take anybody, I'll take anybody. And then they said, they was interviewed and said, what's next for you? Tell me who do you want next? And he said, I'm phrasing it in my own words, but he basically had said, a lot of people are telling me that, if I win this fight against Thompson, I'm ready for a title shot. And he said, no, I'm not. So that to me was almost a sign of saying, I'm not ready, not just physically or whatever it may be, or maybe not mentally. I'm not really sure how to take that because he is a very mentally strong guy, but maybe his skill set, he feels, I am not very comfortable yet to take on a guy like Tyron Woodley. And not like Thompson is some slouch. There's no doubt about it. He's a world-class striker, possibly one of the best strikers, in that division. He is, a terrific fighter. Has not shown his skills over the last few fights, which, again, is a little bit of a downturn on him. But you take a look at that. That's just, to me, when you're vocalizing that kind of stuff, and then before that, he's vocalizing and take on anybody, and then they say, hey, what about a title shot? And he's like, no, I don't really. Everyone wants a title shot. Everyone is pushing for that title shot. Everyone is really, that's what you want. And with a guy with so much backing, and then, of course, the Colby Covington falls apart with this Woodley fight, and he steps in. So, very interesting to hear a guy like Till say he doesn't want the title shot right after beating Wonderboy. So I thought that was interesting. So the last part about Till that I want to go over is basically the competition level. Now, that's going to be something that we're going to see very easily when we take a look at this fight, because there has been, without a doubt, the talent level that Woodley has faced compared to the talent level that Till has faced are completely different. So if you just take a look at overall of who Till fought and who Woodley fought. So Till has been, and we will obviously, he fought Cerrone, he fought Thompson, but the 4 fights before that, the 4 guys within the UFC that he fought, I think is something interesting to go over. And when you take a look at it, now, the 4 guys that he fought, 2 of them have not fought and have not even fought in MMA as a whole since losing to Till. So that a little bit, again, says something that, he fought guys that really, whether they are going to progress in their career or weren't, that's a little bit of a telling sign. But then you take a look. Sorry, my phone here is trying to pull up the Woodley. And then you take a look now at the other 2 guys. So those are 4 guys. 2 of them did not fight again in MMA. The other 2 guys, since losing to Till, combined of a record within the UFC, and I think one of them was in another organization, one of these fights, is 2-5 within MMA after losing to Till. Those 2 guys prior to, so basically as a whole of those 4 fighters, as after fighting Till, they went 2-5. 2 wins and 5 losses. And to me, that is not good. So it shows the competition level of difference. And now we go over the guys that Woodley has fought. I mean, we can go back to Koscheck, Condit, Rory McDonald, Gaslam, Lawler, Stephen Thompson twice, Maia, and I think there was Nate Marquardt. I mean, so his entire career over, this is going back, 4 years, 3 years, that he's fought some of the best fighters in the division, in the world, and he has excelled. He's won. Obviously, some of these are a little further back, and you could argue and say some of these guys maybe be a little bit older. Are they not a little bit older? However you want to put that, he's still beating some of the best guys in the world. And you've got guys that you take a look at, Till level, that, 4 of those guys before he fought Cerrone, and a little bit, again, I'm not big on Cerrone right now, and I think Perry is going to obliterate him in their fight, but, and then you've got Thompson, where Thompson has looked a little shaky as well over his last 2 fights, and of course, yes, Woodley, when he fought, Maia was not a, this world-beating kind of performance, and either against Thompson, so there's a little bit of weight that you can say there as well, but if you really look at it, he's fighting these kind of guys that are such specialists. And Maia, you just want to stay the heck off of the ground. And that's all he did. He was very good being able to defend the takedowns, and he did enough to get the victory. I think this is a little bit of a fresher fight for him with a guy that's just a stand-up fighter that's probably looking to bang, and that's in Till. And I think it kind of favors a little bit when you first start to look at him. You say, you know what? Woodley, this is laying into Woodley's more favor. And the fact that 5 of the last 6 fights for Woodley were southpaws. So a lot of people started, and they were taller, and they were not the height of Woodley. Woodley's 5'9", he fought Lawler, who was 5'9". The rest of them were taller than him. So he is no stranger to a tall southpaw. Of course, Till, like I said, is very different, and he's got his own style. But again, he's used to it. He is very familiar with some of those movements. And you take a look also at his fighting IQ. Woodley has a very high fighting IQ. There is no doubt about it. Not just the fact that he's on UFC tonight, but the way he breaks down fighters. And I think that's what he did when you take a look at fighters like Maia, or Thompson, or even what he did with Lawler, how he put Lawler away. So I think a lot of that, he can possibly put together a great performance if he's able to really break down the way that Till fights. Because that's going to be something that a lot of people are going to say, hey, well, Till does this. What does Woodley do? And for me, Woodley is so versatile that he's able to take it to the ground if he wants to. And that is the enormous question mark that is on this fight, that a lot of us are talking about. We're saying, hey, all right, what can Woodley do? Of course, he's, there's going to be space. And if there's big space, you've got the long legs of Till, able to throw those front kicks, able to create the space that he wants, create some of the cage movement, and then you've got a guy like Woodley who's going to be smaller, but has the same reach as Till, which is an interesting fact out of this. And the fact that also, if he can get him to the ground, can he keep him there? And can Till defend those takedowns? That is one of I think, the biggest part of this fight is he going to stand and bang? And even in an interview with Woodley that happened yesterday, he was asked, do you think you need to take this to the ground, to win this fight? And Woodley was like, when have I ever taken to the ground? He said, besides Condit, and Condit is just known for having terrible takedown defense. But he said, besides him, where was I offensively doing that? So maybe he's looking to do it. Of course, he's not going to say, yes, that's my game plan. But I believe without a doubt it's part of his game plan. And that's going to put a little something on Till's mind. Till has not had to worry about a guy that can just overpower you, although Till has the strength, no doubt about it. But a guy like Woodley who just bursts in quick, short bursts is able to lunge forward, throw some combinations, and then look for the hips and try to get the double. So there's an opportunity here in the way that Till fights to give opportunities for Woodley to possibly get these takedowns. Now, the height advantage is something that, yes, plays a difference when it comes to striking, and when it comes to all that, yes. But also, if he's got those long legs, those are big targets for Woodley to just latch onto one of them and try to get the takedown. I think that it's not only going to play into this, that yes, there's going to be takedowns, but just the mindset that Woodley is going to have to, Till is going to have to worry about the takedowns. There's no question you've got a guy with credentials like Woodley who has not needed to use the takedowns, but, a lot of us thought that he would possibly use a little bit more against Thompson, but Thompson, very slick. Is that going to be something that's going to be tough for him to do here again with Till? That's going to be something we're going to have to take a look at. And the aggressive style for Till, I think, plays against him. I think that it's going to force him to come forward, and if there is the space, I think leaving space makes it tougher for Woodley, and he could maybe try to pepper him from the outside. If he doesn't, and he's pressuring, that's going to shorten the space. That's going to give Woodley more opportunities to get inside and get the takedown, get the clinch, and even in the clinch, there's no doubt about it, Till has great Muay Thai, and that could leverage it. But again, I really believe that the smarts and the IQ of Woodley is going to favor him a little bit more. And now the last part, basically, that is that, yes, he's older. There's no question that Woodley is older. But the wear and tear is so low for Woodley, and that people really forget how damn good Woodley is. Woodley is a phenomenal fighter. I know he's more probably at the end of his career, not fully, but I believe that he has enough. And the difference between competition level, I think, is just going to be so overwhelming for Till. I think that Till, he's that sexy pick. You know what I mean? He's been putting guys away, and he's looked great. He talks the talk, and I think he is a raw talent that can get move forward within this division. He may even move up, which is another part of this that he says, maybe he's not gonna stay in this division for a long time, which is a very weird thing to say when you're in a title fight for this division. So very weird that you would even say that. So mentally, maybe he's not ready for it. Maybe he's preparing more to move up. And at this point, it's such an enormous paycheck for him in such a short time, where he's fighting guys that some of them aren't even in the UFC anymore. And he got, again, his last 4 fights before Cerrone and Thompson are 2-5 since fighting him. So he has not fought top-level guys. I think that Tyron Woodley, with his well-roundedness, with the way he's going to fight, I think he's going to be extremely smart in this fight. I am going to place 2 units on Woodley to get this victory. Plus odds with the champion here, I think, is just way too good for me to pass up. If it was, and I did not, I thought that Till would get, a little bit of a push here, but it's actually a little bit higher than I thought. I mean, I've actually seen Woodley at plus 125. So, it's very crazy how these odds are going, in my opinion. So I'm putting 2 units on Woodley at plus 117 as the best bet play. Best bet play for the year is 22-10 plus 18.78 units for the year. So there you have it, fellas. Do not forget to subscribe, like, head kick the bell icon, get involved with Fight Club TV. And this is Mr. UFC Vegas, Fight Club TV.